Namaskar. Welcome to the Vatika, the biophilic studio here at the IIT Kharagpur Research Park. And we are here again for a completely new brand new episode of Stranger in the Vatika. Stranger in the Vatika, for those of you who are new to this, will probably be a little surprised because you would have almost heard all around about guests coming into some place and you welcome guests. But here in the Vatika, here in the Biophilic Studio at IIT Kharagpur Research Park, we have started this new tradition of welcoming strangers into the Vatika. It means a little different. People who come in are actually guests, to tell you frankly, because we do invite them and bring them in, but we behave as if we are strangers because many of you might not know the person who you're going to meet today. And hence, as a tradition, we also try to not discuss a lot before the shooting starts, so that the strangeness that remains, or the strangeness is real, is a reflection of truly what it is. And the objective is that through the next half an hour or 45 minutes, as I become comfortable and I cut the cords or the cut through the discomfort of strangeness, so do you. Today, without much ado, let me introduce all of you to a very special gentleman who is here with us to help us navigate through this river of strangeness, so that at the end of the next half an hour, 45 minutes or an hour of discussion, we can all go our own ways as friends but not strangers. Welcome.
Namaskar. Thank you so much.
So, Soraveshwar Sen, that's the name.
Right.
That leads us to the first question. It's not a very common name.
Right. Yes.
Any background on that?
So, if I break the name into Sourav and Ishwar, Sourav means fragrance.
Right.
Comes from Surbhi, aroma. And I'm personally also quite sensitive towards fragrance. I mean, in fragrance, I will not just call it fragrance, let's say just from perfume, but the fragrant nature around us. I mean, I'm so glad to be part of this very beautifully organic setup at the IIT Kharagpur Research Park, Vatika. So that's the prefix of my name, while the suffix of my name, Ishwar, is a pattern which in our family we have maintained with our members. So my father's name is Swapneshwar.
Swapneshwar. Okay.
So if I am Lord of Fragrance, he would be Lord of Dreams. My uncle is Kalyaneshwar.
Okay.
Yes. My grandfather was Brajeshwar.
Okay.
My great grandfather was Rai Bahadur Saileshwar.
Oh, beautiful.
So, I mean, we have tried to maintain that pattern throughout the family. And I mean, Rai Bahadur Saileshwar again kind of brings in a lot of historical aspect into our family during the British era. He was also one of the founding, I think the third in line principal of Sri Ram College of Commerce in New Delhi,
Okay.
Saileshwar Sen. And one of his sons, along with Brajeshwar, Bireshwar Sen, became a very well-known miniature painter.
Miniature painter
And artist. So if you search Bireswar, Bireshwar Sen, you will find Bireshwar's work as a miniature artist.
Okay.
Very well known during the British era. He was student of Abanindranath Thakur. And then he later went on to produce miniature art, influenced by Japanese wash painting, as well as Nicholas Roerich. So, and now throughout the family, I would say that even my father and my uncle, we do have that streak of art, performing art. I have also taken to, I would say, my own interest in music as well as art form.
But before we jump into that, I will definitely come into that. But just as a matter of interest, I'm sure correct me if I'm wrong, I say I'm sure, but I could be wrong. Um, in great grandfather's time,
Right.
one would assume
Yes.
that this tradition would be flowing around the paternal line. So the male members of the family would be ex Ishwar.
True.
During those times, probably the female members, his sister,
Yes.
would probably not be Y Ishwar.
Yes, yes, absolutely. That's a great question. In fact, a lot of times when I grew up, I used to find that fascinating to the sense that I would look at that pattern
Yeah.
where us, the male members of the family, would be part of that pattern, whereas the female members would not be part of the pattern.
Okay.
I would feel that they actually enjoyed a little higher degree of freedom.
Oh. Okay.
So, and I remember, this conversation with my family members, and a lot of people would ask that, okay, why not a pattern with the female members?
Yeah, yeah.
And I would be like, don't you think that they actually are enjoying greater degrees of freedom?
Okay.
Right. So, and even with the name, and of course, even with the female members, many of them had taken to performing arts over the years, and they've of course studied, went ahead, and we are a family which very cosmopolitan in nature. In fact, I would say. So yeah, I mean, the lens in which
No, so the real question is that in those times, this wasn't even much of an issue. It was
No.
kind of taken for granted. But,
taken for granted.
yeah, but now, for example, in society, people have become much more fussy in this thought process. So now, in your family, has it gone or permeated onto the feminine side also? This kind of pattern?
No, I would say not. In fact, there are few male members who are exceptions. They do not have the issue.
Okay.
So it is the other way balanced, right? So, I mean, there are people who have a name without an Ishwar, but they have a Sen, but they are pretty much part of the same lineage.
Okay.
And I think that's the offsetting which has happened.
No, the point you mentioned earlier
Yes.
was about transcending.
Huh.
The way you looked at it was that the female members of the family didn't feel deprived, but they had transcended this boundary.
True.
Do you think that now, when you say some of the members are not, bounding
Right.
themselves within those boundaries, are they doing so as an expression of transcendence or an expression of freedom?
Interesting question. I think I would love to possibly look into this a little deeply.
Okay.
And this is a very good question, I would say. I guess it can be either ways, or even like a blend of both. It can be an amalgamation. But at the end of the day, I feel as a family unit, what we feel very strongly is that a family is so much a reflection of the society, because there are balances, there are trade-offs, there are so many adjustments, there are so many things related which we finally, find it even in our textbook of economics.
Yeah.
And so I think what you learn from your family, when you look through some very first principle lenses, actually still holds very good.
Yeah, and these questions are not, are truly to, probe and keep
Absolutely.
seeking and not to get a
Not
definitive
really.
answer.
It's a process. I think it's a journey which we need to really focus upon. Sometimes what happens is, in the quest of a solution, we missed on that essence of the journey.
Yeah, yeah. So in your case, you're married?
I'm married.
You were talking about your daughter. You mentioned
Yes.
something in passing,
Yes,
I remember.
yes.
So, children?
Yes, one daughter, Shivanya. She's 6+ now, going
Okay.
to school. I'm married to Shilpi.
Shilpi.
Shilpi's family, they've stayed in Kolkata for almost a century now, but they are originally from Ilawad.
Okay. So, name-wise, she's maintaining the tradition of art. She's the artist by name.
She's artist in the sense that she's a communication professional, and her artwork revolves around strategies for communication.
But her name continues to be Shilpi.
Yes, I mean, I really like that fact, the connection that you brought in, and yes, I mean, it's also interesting that I have got so much of the flavor of, let's say, our beautiful country. And since I got married and I got to know Shilpi and her family members, be it culture, be it food, be it entrepreneurship, I would also like to say, because their family are majorly entrepreneurs over the years. And so, yes, and
Bangali?
so they are Jaiswals.
Jaiswals.
They are from Uttar Pradesh. They are from Ilawad. They have their ancestral house there, which is itself a piece of history.
Okay.
But their native is from Udgi, which is like a little off, beautiful, idyllic village, you know, of Ilawad, where I have had the opportunity to visit, you know, right after our wedding. So it's amazing that, you know, how families also bring in certain templates, which you don't realize it then and then, but again, you know, as you get associated with them and you start also thinking in their formats, wanting to support them means you're trying to think through them, right? So there is some level of conditioning that also happens. And
I mean, I'm so revealing when you use the word template. Now that you say that, it really kind of integrates. A family is indeed a template. It's a template. It's a nature's template on, you know, how you templatize society in certain ways. It's would be a beautiful way to look at it. But coming back to your son,
daughter.
Shivanya. Yeah, daughter you mentioned, and you said
no, one
child. Okay,
one child.
Shivanya.
Shivanya.
So the name issue will come in if and when son happens. Okay, so and then so moving on, we understand the kind of lineage of names and all that, and then what I saw from your card, very interesting for all of you. Catalyst Learning is, and this is that's your first venture.
That's my first venture, Catalyst Learning, where you know I started this in 2011 in Kolkata, coming from a background of pursuing electronics and telecommunication engineering. As a product design engineer, when I used to work, my first job was in Bombay, and I used to essentially work with core industries. So we used to supply weighing scales, precision weighing scales. I used to work with an organization called Mettler Toledo, where Erhard Mettler was the inventor of single scale balance.
Okay.
So
the single
scale balance, not the two pan balance, right? So the single scale balance and the concept of a load cell, which is like a sensor, and it's a transducer, which just converts mechanical energy into electrical energy. So Erhard Mettler had conceptualized that, and
Erhard Mettler. Okay.
Yes.
So for all those of you who are listening in, new piece of information.
Yes.
General knowledge.
In fact, if you are checking into airports across India, including Bombay and many other places, next time when you are weighing your luggage, please look into the brand. There is a high possibility Mettler Toledo would be the brand. So while working as an engineer, where I would be essentially playing the role of a technical person as well as a commercial person who would try to market the product with the value proposition of technology.
Right.
Nothing else, the technological aspect. I used to quite naturally get drawn to the people with whom I'm conversing, right? So in an assembly line, and let's imagine that I am talking to a steel manufacturer. And in a steel manufacturing unit, if I can use it in a very simple format, at every end there is a human being.
Right.
At every end, till the time your final steel product is leaving the factory. Even at the gate of the factory, there is a security person. I used to be very fascinated with the patterns that would emanate from these people, right? And sometimes I would strike a conversation with a security person, and we would become, let's say, good friends, because I'm visiting that plant quite often. And he would be like, "Hello, sir." And then, "Hi, how are you? Kaise hain aap?" And then, conversations would start. And they would be like, "Okay, you understand the plight of this job, the pain of this job." And I would be like, "Arey, but your job is very important.
Yeah.
You are firstly keeping track of all ins and outs. This ins and out data gets into final
Some
auditing,
place, yeah.
right? And then when finally the annual report of this organization is being placed for shareholders,
There is some.
your contribution is there," and he would be really taken aback. Really, sir? Like, जो हम लिख रहे हैं,
ये कहीं पे काम
आ रहा है. Like, absolutely. Every data is important. So he like, but आपको तो मालूम है, like, you know, I'm looking for a better opportunity. And I used to be really concerned that for some reason this person believes or has been made to believe through the system that we are all part of, that a security person's job may or may not have as an impact, quote unquote, compared to, let's say, a manager at the procurement or, you know.
Okay. Yeah.
And this used to really bother me. And this, I think, has bothered me even when I was in school in South Point.
Okay.
I used to be very bothered because one was that whenever we were given a subject, I used to try and relate that subject to things around us. And sometimes when I would realize that, okay, I'm studying this history, that means someone who is in a tour and travel agency company must be loving history.
Okay.
And then later on, when I would meet people, and I would say that, you know, you must be knowing so much about history. And they'd be like, no. I mean, why? It's okay. My job is to sell this package. And, okay, but you are sending someone to a historical place, right? Well, no. That is okay. So they will get guides there. So I used to be, again, a little concerned that, okay, here someone is working as a professional in the tourism sector, not so bothered about history. And then someone who is liking history
is working
somewhere else. And I would say, like, you love history. You must go to a travel and tourism sector. They would be like, well, but how and why? I was like, because that's what we do when we are traveling. We are soaking into the history, or we are soaking into the geography maybe. So coming back to that question, you know, when I was working as an engineer.
So we are coming back into the original question for those, because we keep meandering and here and there. But the thing was catalyst learning, how that emerged. And just one more meandering before we lose the context. Just so you mentioned, you know, how the person loves history, is not in a related profession, and one of the reasons we took our biological children off school, and you're focused on helping people build careers, and yet I say this, we didn't send our children to school. I mean, we took them off school way early. And one of the various reasons, but one of the triggers was this, because when I would kind of analyze what's going on there, what we realized is that, for example, there would be a period in the syllabus there would be environment studies. And I really found that they had a book on environment and all. And then I realized that the teacher who was teaching that class was probably traveling from Barakpur to Behala to take the class. And the student was traveling from Behala to Barakpur to attend the class. And they were learning about all this, the impact of pollution on environment, etc. And they were kind of writing exams and passing and with flying colors, etc. And, you know, earning their salaries, whatever. For the students, it's passing exams. For the teachers, it's earning the salary. And yet, the very fact that if this travel could be reduced, if people could learn where they were instead of having to take the bus and go across the city here and there, how much pollution would get reduced. So this is just to kind of a similar.
I completely resonate with that thought. In fact, today while coming here, I was trying to get hold of a electric vehicle which wasn't available, and I was wondering that, okay, that's fine. Now the point is that today, at the end of the day, we are talking about, let's say,